everyone. Welcome to Telugu One Academy. My name is Anand Pawar and I would be discussing Indian polity. We are in the topic fundamental rights, that is right to freedom from Article 19 to 22. So as we all know, fundamental rights are mentioned in part 3 of the Constitution from Articles 12 to 35. This is a small introduction regarding this fundamental rights. So, what is right to freedom? We can say that for any democracy to flourish, for any democracy to be vibrant and dynamic, every individual should be given right to freedom, right to liberty, right to express their opinion. So here fundamental rights, and this part deals with right to freedom. We have 6 important rights here. Before that, we will say that in right to freedom, originally we had 7 fundamental rights. One fundamental right, namely right to property, that is to acquire, hold the property, has been repealed. The right to property has been repealed by 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. We can say that right to property was repealed by 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978. At present, we have only 6 rights. We have only 6 rights in Article 19. So what are those fundamental rights regarding Article 19? That is those 6 rights under right to freedom. Freedom of speech and expression, freedom to assemble peacefully without any arms, that is unarmed assembly is allowed, and formation of associations, that is formation of unions, formation of cooperative societies also is permitted. We have a right to freedom to form associations, and we can move in entire territory of India, that is free movement of any individual. So we have a free movement, we can reside and settle anywhere in the territory of India. And finally, we can practice any profession, that is we can practice any trade, business or any profession within the territory of India. And this we can also have a business, we can conduct business anywhere in the territory of India. So all these 6 rights empowers any citizen. All these 6 rights empowers any citizen to develop individually, to develop economically, to have a moral aspect. So these rights, right to freedom, also enhances liberty, and it caters to the development of individual personality, and in overall it's a comprehensive thing, so that it contributes to the development of the nation. We will be doing all these right to freedom in detail. Let us have one by one. So what is freedom of speech and expression? So freedom of speech is any individual has the right to give his opinion, or has the right to speak freely, to express their ideas, to criticize, to praise, whatever. So this freedom is guaranteed. This freedom, that is freedom of speech and expression, is guaranteed by the Constitution under fundamental rights. So when we say that we have a speech, freedom of speech and expression, we also have few exceptions to that. That is where we call it as a reasonable restrictions, that we would be dealing in our coming topics. So here freedom of speech and expression, this right is applicable only to the citizens. That means this right doesn't consider foreigners into them. So foreign people are not involved in this. So this right is not applicable to the foreigners. This also means that we have a complementary thing. We have international conventions on human rights, civil and political rights. So we also have international precedents or conventions which supplements to our Article 19, that is freedom of speech and expressions, because we have certain human rights. These human rights are respected all over the world. So in India also we have been inspired by liberty, freedom and fraternity. So we have given a constitutional status to freedom of speech and expression, and this is supplemented by many international conventions. Also we respect human rights, civil and political rights, and as we know, freedom of speech and expression is a part of human right. It is a part of civil and political right. So we can say that we have been supplemented or inculcated the ideals of international level human ideals also. So this also includes freedom of press. In our constitution, we haven't exclusively used the word as freedom of press. We have implicit in freedom of speech and expression, which also gives freedom to press, freedom to publish, freedom to telecast, freedom to broadcast. So even freedom of press is also included in freedom of free speech and expression. So as we say, we have freedom of free speech and expression. We also have a right to criticize. Right to criticize the government, right to know what's happening in the government, right to criticize the authorities, right to criticize the bureaucracy. For example, we have a right to information. In freedom of speech and expression, every individual has the right to know what's actually happening in the government. Because what is government? Government functions for the people. By the people, they have been there. So it is all the right for any common individual to know what's actually happening in the government. So freedom to criticize, freedom to know what is happening, freedom to take the information is also included here. One more thing is, when we say a right to speech, right to express, right to give opinions, or right to criticize, we also should think that not speaking also a fundamental right. We can not speak. Someone cannot force us to speak. That is, making silence or maintaining silence is also part of fundamental right. That is freedom of speech and expression. So right not to speak or right to be silent is also part of freedom of speech and expression. So see the comprehensive nature of right to freedom of speech and expression. It involved both expressing one's view, and it also involved not to speak, not to give one's opinion. So maintaining privacy is also a fundamental right under right to speech and expression. So when we say that our constitution has given us all these rights, right to speech, right to express, right to publish, right to broadcast, right to have written journals and everything. But there is something which should stop any individual from violating these things. So we can say that the constitution has struck a balance between individual rights and societal rights. See, these rights are not absolute. Imagine if the constitution gives absolute rights to the individual, they may be misused or they may harm some others' fundamental rights. So the constitution has also limited these rights. So the constitution has in itself provided few limitations so that these fundamental rights, or importantly freedom of speech and expression, is not misused. So we can say that the right is subject to reasonable restrictions. Here when we say reasonable restrictions, the constitution has itself allowed to make few parameters to restrict the freedom of speech and expression, unlike in United States of America, where the bill of rights which guarantees the fundamental rights, limiting these bill of rights are has no Congress has power to limit the bill of rights. That is, legislature in United States of America doesn't possess power to restrict the freedom of speech and expression. It is left to court, it is left to judiciary. But in India, we have given power to the legislature itself. We have given power to the legislature itself to restrict or to make a boundary, to create a limitation, so that these freedom of speech and expression are not misused, or they are not used to hurt others' rights or others' emotions. So our constitution has made it clear. Our parliament says that there should be a balance between individual freedom and societal freedom, that is societal liberty. If a particular individual has given absolute right, he may misuse those rights or may cause harm to other people's rights. So we also have reasonable restrictions on individual rights. So we cannot say that the fundamental rights guaranteed by constitution are absolute. They are not absolute. They can be limited by parliament. This is mentioned in Article 19(2). And we have various Supreme Court judgments regarding this, where we have used the word restrictions or reasonable restrictions. For example, we have few cases like we have case like Brij Bhushan versus State of Delhi, where we have the Supreme Court has said that there can be limitations on these right to speech and expressions. In coming topics, we would be discussing these Supreme Court cases. Like we also have cases of Brij Bhushan, Virendra versus State of Punjab. So all these Supreme Court cases have given an idea so that the legislature could limit the freedom of speech and expression. So what are those reasonable restrictions? What will form, or what could be the elements which restricts these freedom of speech and expression? First thing is, when any act of the individual disrupts the sovereignty and integrity of India, then they can put, or the parliament can, by reasonable restricting those powers, could prohibit those things if the act of any individual affects the sovereignty and integrity of India. The other element is where there is affecting security of the state. Otherwise, we can say any act of an individual affects the security of the state, then those acts can be curtailed or restricted. So sovereignty and integrity. Sovereignty is what? Sovereignty is the independent power of any country to prepare its own laws, to make its own policies, to run the government. So if any act of an individual affects the sovereignty and integrity of India or nation, then such acts can be curtailed or limited by the legislature. In the same way, if any act of an individual or a group of individuals affect the friendly relations with foreign states, such acts can be restricted by the legislature. So it is not that freedom of speech and expression are absolute. we have limited those rights in these cases. In the case where we have an effect on security and integrity of India, when we have effect or threat to the security of the state, or if there is a threat to the friendly relations with foreign states, or any speech or any expression, maybe in terms of writing or audio or speaking anything, which affects the friendly relations with foreign states or foreign countries, then such speech can be restricted, or such speech can be curtailed or limited. We also have other criteria, that is public order. When we say that any act or any speech of an individual affects the public order, or there creates a disorder in the society, or the law and order problem is arised because of such speech and expression, then legislature could curtail those acts or could restrict the freedom of speech and expression. We also have other element where we can use reasonable restrictions. We had seen where there is an effect on sovereignty and integrity of the country, where there is an effect on security of the state or security of the nation, and we can say that when there is an effect or there creates a problem with friendly relations with foreign states, we can use those reasonable restrictions. And where there is public order is not maintained, or where there is a disruption of public order, then also we could use reasonable restrictions to limit the freedom of speech and expression. The other element is decency and morality. In the name of decency or morality, if any speech or expression is affecting the decency and morality of the society, or the general fabric or culture of the nation is disrupted, then the legislature could restrict such speech, such right of freedom of speech and expression by using its tool of reasonable restrictions. For example, when we say if there is a content in any movie or in any video where the morality of the people is disrupted, then the government can use the censorship to curtail or restrict such content in video or in any other format of electronic media. So, what is contempt of court? For example, if any case is prejudice, any expression of speech is against the court's values or against the court's integrity, then such speech or expression can be limited by using reasonable restrictions. Though the aggrieved person cannot go to the court saying that my freedom of speech and expression has been violated. Yes, these are the exceptions. These are the exceptions where the legislature could use its power to restrict the freedom of fundamental rights and freedom of speech and expression. So this is one. Here contempt of court is when an individual ignores the court's procedure and he freely expresses something which is prejudice or which is in the judiciary. So contempt of court is a serious offense where the court could punish that person with imprisonment. Other factor is defamation. It is not that when you have freedom of speech and expression, you could talk anything. You could talk regarding a person, anything which is not actually in real. So you are defaming such person by your freedom of speech and expression. You are not responsibly using the right to freedom on speech. So here defaming is you are hurting some other person's sentiment. You are defaming his name in the society. So that such person who gets offended can move court and can say that those freedom of speech and restriction could be curtailed. So freedom of speech and expression are not absolute. So these are few of the things which could give power to the legislature to restrict the freedom of speech and expression. One another thing is incitement to an offense. You cannot just because you have freedom of speech, you could speak anything. You have to be very careful with your words. See, freedom is given for our own responsibility. We have to use that freedom for good of our family, for good of our individual personality, and for the good of the society at large. It should protect the larger interest of the people. But generally what happens is, we generally see in any political rallies or processions, we would see some people speak something which becomes a base for some religious clashes or some political chaos. So that may result in incitement to an offense. Because of that speech, some clashes could have happened. So this is also becomes a base for restricting the fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression. So these are all few reasonable restrictions the legislature could use to contain or to limit the freedom of speech and expression. So what is the question of reasonableness? So we have to know how the reasonableness is judged. Who will judge the reasonableness of any freedom of speech and expressions limitation power? So definitely it is, the court, the higher court, both Supreme Court or high courts will decide on the reasonableness of the restrictions. See, in legislature could use its power to restrict the freedom of speech and expression, as we had before when emergency was imposed in India by Indira Gandhi government. We have seen lot of limitations on freedom of speech and expression. It was actually misused. The legislature has misused the power of its authority, and it has imposed a lot of restrictions on these fundamental rights. So when we say reasonableness, it is up to the court to decide how element of reasonableness is actually working. So court says that it has to be determined by two things. One is substantive and one is procedural. That is, when a legislature will bring a law to restrict the freedom of speech and expression, it should be both substantive. Substantive here in sense, the effect caused by such law should not be more, or the restrictions placed on freedom of speech and expression should not be higher than actually the effect of the law, the freedom of speech and expression. See, substantive here is whenever a legislature brings a law, should be in coordination with the actual freedom of speech and expression. So here the court will see the substance of that reasonable restriction of the legislature which has controlled or limited the power of or the freedom of liberty, freedom of speech and freedom of expression. When we say procedural, it means the court will see that what process the legislature has used, to contain or to limit the freedom of speech and expression. Thanks for watching this video. If you did not subscribe this, please do subscribe this Telugu One Academy.